Daniel stood before her now, close but not touching, his voice low but firm. Then let me be the water. Let me be the stone that keeps you grounded. If you must burn, then burn against me, but do not let it destroy you. Her breath hitched. Her trembling hands reached out, fingers brushing his chest. Her touch hot, burning but soft beneath the fire. Her body shaking as she whispered, "Why? Why would you risk this? Why would you risk me?" Daniel's answer was simple, steady, unshaken. "Because I do not run from those who fight themselves. Because humanity is not built on fear, but on standing together." Her eyes widened, her glowing tears falling, and for a moment her trembling slowed. Her fire dimmed just slightly, but the battle was not won. The room crackled with tension, every second heavier. Liara balanced on the edge of losing everything, Daniel standing strong before her, unbroken, unafraid, and in that fragile balance, the line between control and chaos blurred. The moment stretched like a blade. Sharp and dangerous, Liara whispered again, almost begging, "Please, do not let me fall." And Daniel answered, firm and calm, "Then hold on to me." No matter what, the fight was not over. The worst was yet to come, and as the heat rose higher, the real test had only just begun. The air inside the chamber was burning now. Every breath Daniel took felt like fire in his lungs. The walls glowed red with the pulse of Liara's energy. The crystals cracked with pressure. The mist in the air turned heavy, clinging to his skin like heat-borne smoke. Liara stood in the center of the room, her body trembling, her glowing lines blazing like molten rivers, her violet eyes now blazing white, her chest heaving, every muscle shaking as she tried to hold back the storm inside her. Daniel stayed steady, his eyes fixed on her, his body tense but calm. He had seen explosions before, seen storms tear across battlefields, but never had he seen one held inside a single body. A war raging not on the ground but in her heart. She staggered forward, her breath broken. Her voice cracked. "Daniel, I cannot stop it." Her hands clenched into fists, sparks of light flashing between her fingers, her entire body glowing like fire trapped in flesh. He raised a hand slowly, his voice firm, calm. "Liara, listen to me. You are stronger than this." But her scream cut through the chamber. Raw and sharp, she lunged forward, her hands slamming onto his shoulders, the force throwing him back against the cushioned table, his body sinking into it as her grip tightened. Too tight, painful. Daniel gritted his teeth, refusing to cry out. Her hands like fire digging into him. His ribs creaked under the pressure, but he locked eyes with her, unflinching. Her face was close now, trembling, glowing tears falling down her cheeks. "I told you," she gasped. "I told you I would hurt you." Her grip tightening again, Daniel's body straining under the weight of her strength. The door burst open. 2 alien staff rushed in, their silver skin glowing faintly. Their eyes wide with panic, one shouted, "Restrain her." The other lunged forward with a glowing band of crystal, but Liara spun with inhuman speed, her arm lashing out. The alien worker thrown across the room, crashing into the wall with a crack. The other froze in fear, stepping back quickly, his voice trembling. "She is too far gone." Liara turned back to Daniel, her eyes burning, her body trembling between rage and sorrow, her hands still pinning him down, her voice torn between instinct and shame. "I cannot let go." Daniel's breath came hard, but his eyes never broke from hers, his voice steady, low like steel. "Then don't let go, hold me. But do not lose yourself." Her body shook violently, her glowing tears dripping onto his chest, burning hot, leaving faint marks. She cried out again. "It hurts, it burns. I cannot think, I cannot stop." Daniel pushed against her arms, not to break free but to steady her, his voice louder now, cutting through the heat. "You are Liara. Not just instinct, not just hunger. Remember your name. Remember who you are." For a moment, her trembling slowed, her glowing eyes flickered, violet returning for a heartbeat. But then the fire surged again, stronger, fiercer. She pressed down harder, Daniel's breath leaving his chest in a sharp grunt. The alien staff tried again, stepping forward, but Daniel snapped his head toward them, his voice sharp, commanding, "Stay back!" His tone so firm it froze them in place. They looked at him with wide eyes. Confused but obeyed, Daniel turned back to Liara, his voice softer now, close to her ear. "If you must break, then break here. I will not let you fall alone." Her body shuddered, her face twisting between pain and desire, her glowing lines flickering wildly. She pressed closer, her forehead against his, her voice shaking. Why do you not fear me?" Daniel's answer came without hesitation, his breath steady even in the heat. "Because I see more in you than this fire." I see the fighter, the healer, the one who does not want to hurt. And that is who you are. Her scream tore through the chamber. Loud, raw, the crystals in the walls cracking with the sound. Her body jerking violently, Daniel's chest burning under her grip. But he did not move. He held her gaze steady, calm, unyielding. Then suddenly her strength faltered, her body collapsing against him, her grip loosening. She trembled violently, tears streaming. Her voice broken. I cannot win this. Daniel wrapped his arms around her, holding her tight, his voice firm. You are winning. Every second you fight, you are winning. Do not stop. The alien staff watched in silence, their faces pale. They had never seen such a thing. Never seen a human face the heat with calm and survive. Never seen someone reach inside a storm and hold it steady. Liara clung to Daniel, her body burning, her breath sharp, her voice a whisper. If you stay, I may destroy you. Daniel leaned close, his voice strong, steady. Then destroy me if you must. But you will not destroy yourself, not while I stand with you. Her eyes widened, glowing tears falling faster, and for the first time, the fire inside her flickered weaker. Not gone, not defeated, but weakened, the storm bending under the weight of his words. But Daniel knew this was only the breaking point. The fire was not finished, the storm was not over, and the battle for control was far from won. The chamber stood silent, heavy with heat, every breath sharp, every second stretched thin, and in that silence, both human and alien realized the truth. The worst was yet to come. The chamber was quiet now, but it was not peace. It was the silence before another storm. The walls still glowed faint red, the crystals still pulsed with heat, the air heavy, as if it could crush a man's chest. Liara collapsed against Daniel, her body trembling, her glowing lines fading in and out like fire struggling to stay alive, her breath shallow, her voice broken. You should leave, human, before I lose myself again, before the heat drags me deeper. Daniel held her firmly, his arms steady around her, his voice low but strong. No, I will not leave, not now, not when you need someone the most. She shook her head, her glowing tears staining his chest. You do not understand. If I fall, I will tear you apart. My instincts will not stop my kind in heat. We cannot choose. Daniel's eyes were steady, his jaw tight, his tone firm. Then I will choose for you. I will stay. I will stand with you until the end. The alien staff stood frozen near the doorway, their faces pale, their voices hushed. One whispered to the other. No human has ever done this. No human would dare. Liara heard them, her body shuddering with shame. They are right. You should not be here. You should not trust me. Her glowing hands pressed weakly against his chest as if to push him away. But Daniel did not move. Instead, he leaned closer, his voice calm and sharp. Liara, listen to me. I have seen soldiers in war lose themselves to rage. I have seen fear eat men alive. But I did not leave them. I stood with them. I held them until they came back. I will do the same for you. Her eyes widened, the glow flickering weaker. But they were human, she whispered. I am not. I am alien. My fire is not like theirs. Daniel's gaze never wavered. Fire is fire, no matter the world. And I have walked through flames before. Her breath caught in her throat. Her trembling slowed. For the first time in hours, her eyes softened. Violet returning for a heartbeat, her voice breaking. Why? Why would you risk everything for me? Daniel's answer was simple, steady. Because this is what makes us human. We do not run from those in pain. We do not abandon those who fight themselves. We stand, we stay, we believe. The alien staff gasped softly, their eyes wide. One whispered, humans, they are reckless, but they are also unbreakable. Liara's tears glowed brighter, falling like drops of molten light, her voice cracking. No one has ever said this to me. No one has ever stayed. They all run. They all fear the heat. Daniel's grip tightened, his voice firm. Then let me be the first. Let me show you what humanity is, not fear, not running, but standing when it matters. Her trembling body leaned into him, her forehead pressed against his chest. Her glowing lines still flickering but softer now, she whispered. You make me believe, even when I do not believe in myself. Daniel stroked her trembling arm slowly, steady, his voice calm. That is what we do, Liara. We believe in each other even when the fire burns. The staff outside the chamber looked at each other. Awe in their faces, one muttered, this human. He is not afraid of the heat. He is not afraid of death. He is different. The air in the chamber began to shift, the heat still strong but not crushing. the crystals glowing steady instead of wild. The storm inside Liara had not ended, but it had bent, her fire no longer raging wildly. Now it was held in place not by her strength alone, but by his will standing beside hers. Liara lifted her head slowly, her glowing eyes meeting his again. Not fully calm but no longer lost, her voice soft. "You are unlike any I have known, Daniel, your kind. Your spirit. It changes everything." Daniel gave a small nod, his face steady. "Maybe that is why we are here. Maybe humanity's gift is not power or weapons, but the choice to stand when others would fall." She closed her eyes, whispering, "Then stay with me until the fire ends. Stay until I am myself again." Daniel's voice was firm. "I will stay no matter how long, no matter how hot the fire burns." The alien staff bowed their heads, silent, humbled. They had never seen such a bond, never seen such defiance against fear, never seen humanity shine so brightly. The night in the chamber dragged on, the heat still burning inside Liara. But Daniel's presence never faltered. His arm steady, his voice calm whenever she shook, his belief like a wall she could lean on. And as the long hours passed, the fire inside her began to bend. Not defeated, not gone, but held back, controlled. Because one human chose to stay, chose to fight not with weapons, but with faith. It was humanity's choice. And it had changed everything. But deep inside, Daniel knew the battle was not over. The worst storms always returned. And the next wave would be stronger. The chamber was quiet now, the fire that had raged inside it finally dimming, the crystals on the walls no longer cracked with heat but glowing soft and steady. The heavy air cooled at last. Daniel sat still on the cushioned table, his body tired, his chest aching from her earlier grip, yet his eyes calm, his presence unbroken. Liara lay against him, her body weak, trembling, her glowing lines fading slowly to a soft blue. No longer wild flames, no longer dangerous rivers of fire. Her breathing steady now, her head resting on his chest, her voice small, fragile. "It is over. The heat has passed." Daniel let out a slow breath, the weight of long hours lifting from his shoulders. He looked down at her, his voice steady. "You fought well, Liara. You did not let it take you fully." Her violet eyes opened. Wet with glowing tears, she shook her head softly. "No, Daniel, I did not fight alone. If you had left, if you had feared me like the others, I would have been lost. It was you. You held me together." The alien staff stepped carefully into the chamber now, their faces full of awe, their voices hushed. One whispered, "She survived the heat without harm, and the human still lives," another added. "No one has ever seen this before." Liara heard their words and lowered her gaze. Shame and pride mixed in her chest. "I should feel dishonored. I nearly hurt you. I nearly broke my oath as a healer," she whispered, but Daniel shook his head, his voice calm. "No, you should feel proud. You fought something that few could face, and you are still here." Her lips trembled, her glowing tears falling again. "You are unlike any being I have ever known, Daniel. Humans. You're kind. You are reckless, foolish even, but you are also strong. Stronger in ways I never imagined." Daniel gave a small smile. "Tired but steady. We are strong because we stand for each other. Because when someone is about to fall, we do not let them fall alone." The staff bowed slightly, their silver eyes fixed on him. One muttered, "Perhaps the stories are true, perhaps humans truly are different." Liara touched his chest lightly, her hands still warm but gentle now. "You changed me, Daniel, in my people's history. No one has ever stayed during the heat. No one has ever faced us with calm. You are the first. And I will never forget this." Daniel's voice was quiet, certain. "Then remember this, Liara, that being human is not about strength or fearlessness. It is about choice, and I chose to believe in you." Her breath caught. Her violet eyes shining brighter with emotion, she whispered, "You gave me something I thought I had lost. Hope." They sat in silence for a long moment, the chamber still, the fire truly gone, the staff watching from the doorway in reverent silence. At last, Liara stood slowly, her legs weak, her glowing lines faint, but her presence calm. She bowed low before Daniel, her voice steady. "You are more than a guest, more than a human. You are a friend to me and perhaps to my people. If they ever hear of this," Daniel rose too, his body sore but steady. He placed a hand gently on her shoulder, his voice firm. "Then let your people hear. Let them know humans do not turn away from storms. We walk into them." Her lips curved into the smallest of smiles. "Rare and fragile, but real," she whispered. You are fireproof, Daniel, even when standing in flames. He chuckled softly at her words, shaking his head. Not fireproof, Liara. Just stubborn, the staff behind them murmured softly. Stubborn, but unbreakable. And they bowed their heads in respect. Liara looked at Daniel one last time. Her voice soft but filled with weight. This will not be the last heat. Daniel, one day it will return, and when it does, I may not be able to hold myself back again. Daniel's eyes were steady, his jaw firm. Then when it returns, I will stand with you again, no matter how strong it becomes. Her breath shook at his words. Her violet eyes shimmering, she whispered, You are madness, human, but a madness that saves. The chamber doors opened wide now, cool air rushing in from the world outside, the red and blue suns shining through the crystal walls, the fire of the heat gone, the dawn of something new rising. Daniel walked out slowly, Liara at his side, the staff bowing as they passed, their whispers following them. The human who faced the heat, the human who did not run, and as they stepped into the light of twin suns, Daniel knew this was not just the end of one trial. It was the beginning of something greater, a bond forged in fire, a story that would echo beyond this world. For Liara would remember the human who stayed, and Daniel would remember the alien who fought her own fire. And together, they had proven one truth that would never fade. Humanity's greatest strength was not power, not weapons, but the choice to stand when others would fall. The heat was over, but the fire of connection remained. And in that fire, a new future had been born. The transport ship touched down on the alien colony. The doors slid open with a hiss, and the human named Daniel stepped out slowly. He looked around with wide eyes. The air smelled different here, full of strange herbs and sweet smoke. The sky glowed with twin suns, one red and one blue, casting the land in shifting colors. Daniel had traveled far for rest, far for healing, far for something new. He had heard rumors about this alien spa. They said it was the best place in the sector. They said their hands could take away any pain, any memory of war, any ache in the body. Daniel wanted peace. His life had been full of battles. His body carried scars, his mind carried shadows, and he hoped this place would give him silence at last. The spa building stood ahead, glowing with soft green light, made of smooth crystal walls that pulsed like living stone, strange symbols carved across the doors and alien music humming from inside. Daniel felt a shiver down his spine, not from fear but from mystery. From the unknown waiting for him when he entered, the scent grew stronger, a mix of flowers and spices he had never known. The air was warm, almost too warm, and alien workers moved gracefully, their bodies tall and slender, with skin shining in shades of silver and gold. Some looked at him with curious eyes, whispering words in their own tongue, words he could not understand, but he felt something hidden, something they did not want to say out loud. One of them stepped forward, a receptionist with calm eyes. She bowed lightly and said, "Welcome, human traveler, you have chosen a time. Unusual, but we will serve you with honor." Daniel raised his eyebrow at her words. Unusual, what did she mean? But he said nothing. He only nodded, his curiosity growing stronger. Then she came, the alien Masseuse. Her name was Liara. Her skin was pale blue with faint glowing lines that moved like fire under her skin. Her hair was long, silver like liquid metal. Her eyes deep violet, yet behind that beauty, there was something else. Her breathing was heavy. Her hands trembled slightly as she greeted him. She bowed politely, but her eyes lingered on him longer than normal, like she was holding something back. Daniel felt it instantly. Something was wrong. Not danger exactly, but tension. Her presence was powerful, magnetic, almost pulling him closer. But at the same time, she looked like she was fighting herself. He wondered if this was part of the alien culture, or something else entirely. She led him down a corridor, the walls glowing softly as if alive, the floor warm under his feet, the sounds of distant water flowing, and voices chanting in low tones. He followed her into a private chamber, a room filled with soft cushions, glowing crystals, and a faint mist floating in the air. Liara gestured for him to sit, her hand shaking slightly as she pointed. He noticed but said nothing when she touched his shoulder, the first touch of the massage. Her hand lingered too long. Her breath caught. Her glowing lines pulsed brighter. She quickly pulled away, whispering an apology. "Forgive me. It is nothing." But her voice was unsteady. Daniel felt a chill despite the heat in the room. Something was happening here, something more than he had expected outside the room. He could hear whispers, other aliens speaking quickly, worried voices. One phrase kept repeating, Though he did not understand their language, he caught one word through his translator implant, a word that sent a wave of unease through him. Heat. Liara returned her hands to his back, pressing gently, her strength far greater than any human touch. Yet she trembled, her breathing heavy. She muttered under her breath as if fighting herself. Daniel could sense her struggle. He could sense that her body wanted something she was trying to resist. His instincts told him danger was near, but his heart told him there was more to this than just fear. The minutes passed slowly, tension thick in the air. Her glowing lines flared brighter with every movement. Sweat formed on her brow, her hands gripping his shoulders tighter than before. Too tight, almost painful. Daniel flinched slightly, and she gasped, pulling back again, her eyes wide with shame and panic. I cannot, she whispered, her voice shaking before forcing a deep breath to calm herself. Daniel watched her carefully, not with fear but with sharp curiosity. He had seen soldiers lose control in war. He had seen humans fight against their own instincts, and now he was seeing an alien in the same battle. It made him wonder, how different were they really? Human or alien, when instincts took over. The room grew hotter, the crystals glowing brighter. Liara's voice trembled as she whispered, "You should leave, human. This is not safe for you." Yet her hand still hovered above him, as if she could not let go, as if her instincts demanded she stay close. And in that moment, Daniel knew this was no ordinary spa, no ordinary massage. This was the beginning of something far deeper, something dangerous, something that would test both of them. The hook had been set, and the mystery of the heat season was only beginning to reveal itself. Daniel sat still, his body tense, his mind racing. He could feel the warmth of the room pressing against his skin. Almost too heavy, almost alive, Liara, the alien masseuse, stood behind him, her glowing lines flickering like fire under her skin, her hands hovering close but not touching, as if every move was a battle with herself. Her breathing was louder now, not calm like a healer but ragged, uneven. Her violet eyes stared at his back with a hunger she tried to hide. Daniel could sense it. He had seen soldiers in war lose control. He knew the signs, and here he saw the same signs. Not of violence maybe, but of something dangerous, something she could not stop. The whispers outside the door grew louder, alien voices sharp and quick, one word again and again. The same word his translator caught, heat. Daniel's eyes narrowed. He understood only part of it, but that part was enough to know something was wrong. Very wrong. Liara pressed her hands onto his shoulders. Slowly, carefully, her strength far greater than a human's. Her touch burned like fire against his skin. Her fingers dug in too tightly, almost painful. Daniel flinched and her hands pulled away at once. Her face pale, her glowing lines flashing too bright. "Forgive me," she whispered, her voice shaking. I did not mean." Daniel turned his head slightly, his eyes meeting hers, calm but sharp. "What is happening to you?" he asked softly. But she said nothing. She only bit her lip and looked down. Shame filling her eyes, she tried again, moving her hands lower across his back, pressing her palms along his muscles. Her breath hot against his neck, but every second she grew weaker against her own control. Her grip stronger, her movements less smooth, less professional, more desperate. Daniel could feel it now. The room was not just warm, it was burning, the air thick like smoke. The crystals on the wall glowing brighter with every touch she made, as if reacting to her condition, as if the room itself knew what was happening. Suddenly the door opened a crack. Another alien worker stepped in, tall and silver-skinned, his eyes full of worry. He spoke in their language quickly, his voice urgent. Liara spun around, her body shaking, her voice snapping back at him, sharp and fierce, though Daniel could not understand the words. He knew what it meant. A warning, a command to leave. The alien worker's eyes darted to Daniel, pity and fear mixing. Then he backed away and closed the door, leaving Daniel alone with her again. Daniel now felt the weight of choice. He could stand up, walk out, demand answers, but something inside him told him to stay, to wait, to see, because this was no ordinary encounter. This was something deeper. Liara's hands touched him again, trembling, but this time she whispered under her breath, almost like a confession. "I should not with a human, not during heat." Daniel froze, his mind catching on the word. Heat, yes, the whispers, the warnings, now it made sense, some cycle, some natural force inside her that she could not control. A season of instinct, of desire, and she was in the middle of it. Trapped with him, she tried to breathe steady, but every inhale was shaky, every exhale a struggle. Her body leaned closer, her glowing lines now pulsing like a storm. Her voice soft but broken. I can end the session if you wish, human. But I fear even that may not stop me. Daniel remained calm, his soldier's training keeping him still. His voice steady. I will stay for now. But you must tell me the truth. His tone was firm, not cruel but unyielding. He would not be left blind in this storm. Liara's eyes met his again, and for the first time she looked vulnerable, almost fragile. The heat season. It is a curse of my kind, she whispered. We lose control, our bodies burn, our instincts demand. Things we should not do. Things that can break trust. Her voice cracked as she said it. Shame covering her face, she turned away, her hands gripping the crystal wall, the glow flaring under her fingers. Daniel could see she was fighting not him, but herself, a battle against her own nature. And yet she turned back to him, her eyes wet, her voice trembling. But I must serve, I must finish my duty, I cannot abandon you, not even now. Daniel leaned back slowly, watching her every move. He felt the danger, yes, but he also felt something else, something human inside her. The struggle to remain more than instinct, the will to keep control. Even as her body betrayed her, the minutes dragged heavy and hot, her hands working against his muscles, but every touch closer to breaking her restraint. Every breath louder, every glow brighter, until finally she whispered, almost in pain, please, trust me, just a little longer. Daniel's jaw tightened. His eyes sharp, he gave a single nod, and in that moment, the story of control and chaos deepened. The human and the alien locked together in a fragile balance, the storm of heat rising higher, waiting to break. The tension filled the chamber, and Daniel knew one thing for certain. This was only the beginning, and whatever came next, he would not turn away. The chamber glowed with soft blue light, the sound of water dripping in the distance. The air heavy with heat, Daniel sat still on the cushioned table, his muscles tense, his mind sharper than ever. Liara stood behind him, her pale blue skin shining brighter with every passing minute. Her glowing lines pulsing like fire trapped under glass. Her hands pressed down once more, but she pulled them back quickly as if afraid of her own strength, her chest rising and falling fast, her violet eyes burning with conflict. Daniel could see it clearly now. She was losing, she was fighting herself. The whispers outside returned, voices quick, urgent, full of fear, and then the door opened again. Another alien entered quietly, older than the rest, his silver hair tied back, his skin glowing faintly, his eyes heavy with worry. He looked at Daniel first, then at Liara, his voice soft but strong. You should not be here. Human, Daniel's translator hummed, catching the words, his brow furrowed. Why not? He asked calmly, his voice steady, his eyes unflinching. The older alien stepped closer, lowering his voice as though afraid the walls might hear. It is the heat season, he said. Her kind cannot control themselves during this time. It is dangerous even for us and for a human like you. It could mean harm. Liara's body stiffened, her eyes wide with shame. Stop, she whispered harshly. Do not tell him, but her voice cracked. Her secret already laid bare. Daniel turned his gaze to her. Calm but piercing. So it is true, he said. The heat season, that is what this is. Liara trembled, her hands curling into fists, her glowing lines flashing bright then dim, her voice shaking. Yes, it is true. It is my curse. It comes once in many cycles. My body burns, my control fades, I try, I fight. But it is never enough. Her words carried pain, not just physical but deep inside, the shame of one who cannot win against nature. Daniel watched her closely, not with fear but with something else. Curiosity mixed with a strange respect. She was not weak, she was fighting, and he knew the courage it took to admit such weakness aloud. The older alien spoke again, his voice full of warning. You should leave, human, before it is too late, before she loses everything. But Daniel shook his head slowly. No, he said firmly, I will not leave her, not now. Not when she is fighting this battle. The older alien's eyes widened. Confusion in his face, he had not expected such words. He looked between Daniel and Liara, then sighed deeply, bowing his head. Humans, he muttered, always so reckless, always so stubborn. And then he turned, leaving them alone once more. Liara looked at Daniel with disbelief, her voice soft. Why do you stay? You could walk out, you could escape this. Daniel leaned back against the table, his expression calm. Because I have seen battles like this before. Not with heat, not with aliens, but with soldiers. With men and women who fought against their own fears, their own instincts. I will not turn away from someone fighting themselves. His words struck her like a blade and a balm at once, her eyes shining, her voice breaking. But I am not like them, human. My instincts are not fear, they are desire, hunger, things that can destroy trust, things that can hurt you. Daniel's lips pressed into a thin line, but his gaze did not falter. Then I will face it. If you are strong enough to fight, then I am strong enough to stay. Silence filled the room for a moment. Heavy and deep, Liara's chest rose and fell. Her trembling hands reaching out but stopping just short of his skin, she whispered, "You do not understand what you risk, my kind in heat. We are not gentle, we are not safe, even I cannot promise I will not." Her voice trailed off, too afraid to finish. Daniel tilted his head, his tone even. "Then promise only this, that you will keep trying no matter what, that you will not stop fighting yourself." Her violet eyes locked on his, and for the first time she saw something she had never seen before. Not fear, not disgust, but belief in her. Belief that she could win against her own nature. Her breath caught in her throat. The glow in her lines pulsed, faster, brighter, but her hand steadied. Her trembling slowed. She drew in a sharp breath and whispered, "I will try. For you, human." "I will try," Daniel nodded once, calm, certain, his presence like a rock against a storm. The air around them grew hotter, the tension thicker, but the battle had shifted. No longer just her fight alone. Now it was shared. A human standing beside an alien in her most dangerous moment. The heat season was revealed. The truth laid bare, but this was not the end. This was only the start of something far more dangerous, far more powerful, and deep inside, Daniel knew. This was a turning point. A line drawn in fire, and whatever came next, it would test both of them to their very limits. The chamber was silent, except for the sound of Liara's uneven breathing. Daniel sat still on the cushioned table, his body calm but ready, his eyes fixed on her every move. The glow of the crystals danced across the walls, painting the room in shifting light. Liara's hands hovered above his back, her fingers trembling, her glowing lines pulsing brighter with every heartbeat. She whispered something in her own language, words that cracked like a prayer, then slowly lowered her palms against his shoulders. The touch was different now, not steady like before, not careful. Her hands pressed harder, her grip firmer, her breath hot against his neck. Daniel winced slightly at the strength, but did not pull away, his soldier's mind watching, waiting, measuring. Her body leaned closer, her violet eyes wide with conflict, her lips parted as if she wanted to speak but could not, every muscle in her body trembling between restraint and surrender. Daniel could feel the storm inside her, and it was rising. The room grew hotter, too hot. Beads of sweat formed on Daniel's forehead, the air thick with tension. Liara's lines glowed so bright now they lit the chamber like fire. She gasped, her voice breaking. I cannot hold it much longer." Daniel turned his head, his eyes meeting hers, calm and steady. "Then keep fighting," he said firmly. "Do not let it win." Her hands shook violently as she dug her fingers deeper into his muscles. Almost painful, almost crushing, she pulled back with a gasp, her chest heaving, her voice cracking. "You do not understand. Human. It is not just strength, it is hunger, it is need. It will not stop until I break." Daniel's jaw tightened. But he did not move. "Then break on me," he said softly. "But do not break yourself." His words hit her like a storm. Her glowing eyes wide, her breath sharp. She shook her head, whispering, "You should fear me, you should hate me. I cannot promise I will not hurt you." But Daniel's gaze remained steady, sharp, unflinching. "Fear is not my way. I have stood with men who lost themselves to rage, to fear, to battle, and I held them until they returned. I will do the same for you." Her trembling grew worse. Her hands moved again, stronger, wilder. The massage no longer calm but fierce, every touch too intense. Daniel's body stiffened at the force. But still he did not resist. Her voice broke again, desperate. "I should stop, I should leave, but I cannot. I cannot let go." Her body leaned too close, her breath hot against his ear, her glowing lines almost burning against his skin. Daniel closed his eyes, steady as stone, his voice low. "Then stay, fight. If you lose control, then I will face it. But I will not leave you alone in this." Her body shook. Her hands gripped his shoulder so tight it hurt. Daniel bit down against the pain, refusing to show weakness, refusing to break her fragile balance. Suddenly her head snapped back, her voice rising in a sharp cry, her body glowing like fire. The heat taking hold stronger than ever, she stumbled back, pressing her hands against the wall. panting, gasping, her entire body trembling. The crystals in the room pulsed with her energy. The air so hot it burned Daniel's lungs. He stood slowly, his body tense, ready for anything, watching her carefully. Liara's eyes glowed fully now, no longer violet but blazing white, her voice a whisper of both fear and desire. "It is too strong. I will lose. I will hurt you." Daniel took a slow step closer, his voice steady, strong. "No, you will not. You are stronger than this, I have seen it in your eyes. You can fight." She shook her head wildly, tears glowing in her eyes. "No. You do not understand. When the heat claims me, I am no longer Liara. I am instinct, I am hunger, I am fire.